Good morning. Thanks for joining me, Nancy, with Northstar Ministry. Hope everybody's having a beautiful morning. I just came in having my first cup of coffee, but I went to take care of a couple of things downtown, and I was thinking about my son, and I was going through a filing cabinet, and I found an envelope full of photos and stuff, and I thought, oh wow, I was thinking about my son Daniel. So I just wanted to share, Daniel, my son, I lost him on June 29th. So I decided to dedicate this today because it made me smile. In this envelope that I found an old book report that he did when he was in school. And I remember this. It was called How Old is the Earth by Daniel Dlugosz, and this was a science project that he did back in 2010. So I thought, I was reading it, and I got such a kick out of this because I remember when he had this project, and I remember trying to talk him out of it. He thinks I talked him into it, but no, I said, Daniel, you don't remember, right? We were at Barnes & Noble. I took you there so you could look at all other kinds of topics, so that I would try to talk him out of it. But because I knew it was going to bring up a whole lot of, people probably wouldn't like it. And I thought, well, but it was up to him ultimately. He decided, he was determined to do it on that subject. So I, let it go. But we looked at other topics there at Barnes & Noble. I tried to sway his decision. Anyway, he was so excited about this project because he just had a thought of how it would go and how he could show and prove and provide evidence and so forth. So I thought, all right, well, so he did this, and the day that he did it, I'll never forget. I had a Dodge Caravan back then. You could fit 8 people in there easily. And I remember all his friends, that hopped on my bus, when I dropped them off at their homes and whatever. They were all excited that day that Daniel delivered this report, because Daniel hated school. He hated school because back in the day, I found this picture of him back in the time. He had severe sebaceous glands, so he had a lot of acne, and he was really uncomfortable with it. It was very painful. Sometimes the kids, poked him in the face and made fun of him and stuff like that. So he was a little bit bullied, at that particular school. But he overcame it. But he hated showing up there. He never smiled to go to school, and I wished he would, because I always loved school. I remember growing up, I couldn't wait to get to school. I mean, back in the day, we had a long walk from where I lived, in Simi Valley. We had like a 2-mile stretch. You had to walk. Sometimes you'd walk, and there was a little bridge along the way. If you took one certain way to get there, there was a bridge. There was a friend who would wait there with a 10-speed bike to walk me the rest of the way. Or else I'd meet up with my girlfriend at a corner there, and we would try to hightail it over to Dave Koss's house, because Dave, Kenny, and Derry lived right next door to each other, and David's mother, she had a big station wagon, so there's plenty of room. So we try to hightail it to her house in time to catch a ride to school the rest of the way. Oh my gosh, those were the days. But yeah, it was an everyday decision, how are we going to get there? And it was a long walk, a stretch anyway. But when it came to my Daniel, he just was uncomfortable about school. But when it came to that day, delivering that report, he was so excited. When I went to pick him up that day, I will never forget the look on his face. He was beaming. He was so excited. And his friends were saying, Mrs. D, Daniel gave a great report. They were so excited because they thought he did a great job. His was the best, some of them were saying, because it really was, it got everybody thinking. So he was excited. But when the final results came and the grades were given, he was given a D+. And that day, I never seen someone's face go from being lit up, so excited, so happy, so filled with hope, to the very next moment. A couple weeks later, when they got the grades, he got the lowest score in the whole class. So, in honor of my son, I said, you know what, today I am going to read his little report. I'm going to put it out there. But I want to show you pictures of my son Daniel that I found just this morning, came across these pictures. This was him when he was just such a cute little one. This was him in his little kindergarten picture there. He was always so smart. He loved reading. He was such a reader. He loved reading everything. And his brother, too. Both of them loved to read. And this is him in the 1st grade. Just such a little cutie. My kid was always, I think I did some pictures here, too, I can show you. I'm just going to brag about my son today because he's not with us anymore. And but I'm going to flip the camera over so you can see the pictures of my son. But see, that's his little, look at, even when he was a little baby, sitting on the sofa with his dad. I don't know if you can see that, but he was like, with the newspaper, didn't even know how to read. But always interested in books, but always very happy. Very happy. Both my kids were, and he learned computer early, but he always read to his little brother. Always read to his little brother. And that's his little brother right there. But my kids were always very, very happy. We just had so much fun. It was the joy in my heart, And whenever we'd go to have lunch or something, Daniel was always reading. They were always coloring. I always brought books and coloring, crayons and markers. But anyway, brag about my kids today. So we will get back in the book of Enoch. Don't worry. But I did want to share. So this is a picture of me and Daniel. That's me. And there's my son, Daniel. So that's one that I found just today. I think I'm going to frame that one just to have it with me. And I have a few pictures of when he helped me down at the pier. And we did like 5 farmer markets. We had this little, I got each of my sons an Italian ice cart, as a side thing. We had so much fun with that thing. Daniel really enjoyed it. He loved it. We did like 4 or 5 farmer markets before we took on the beach contract down at the pier. But he loved it. He loved working with the public. He loved working. He was a hard worker too. Oh boy, he was serious. When he was working, that was it. But he was always very attentive to customers, loved working with the public. He had great outgoing personality. He really did take after me in every way. He had a very gregarious personality. He loved people. And he felt good being around people, and he was always very, just inspiring and lifting up others. That was just how he was. But he loved serving the public. It was a fun product. It's a fun product. Brought a lot of happiness to people. They loved it. They loved it, even at nighttime at the Sunset Market there in Oceanside. I mean, Daniel would be there serving a lot. He'd be there. He'd behind you probably can't see it. It's not a good picture, but there's a whole long line of people standing in line, and he's doling out the Italian ice back there under that umbrella. But he certainly loved it, and always had coffee available too. But he was such a big help for me, because we'd set it up, and he loved it. He really, he figured, he put in an honest day's work, I tell you. It was a busy, our little cart cranked out so much little business, and I couldn't have done it without Daniel. He was really amazing. And then this is the cart, the little trailer that had the winch. Before people in my community where I live, somebody at nighttime came and cut the line. They cut the winch, and they really did the most to try to affect my livelihood. But anyway, I'm so glad for these photos. This is down at the pier in Oceanside, and it's my Jeep. And Daniel is loading the cart. At the end of a day, he put in a long day. Whether it was at the farmer markets, those were only 4-hour, and then some events that we did. But he loved it. Everybody loved my son Daniel, and I sure miss him. I saw this picture I'll send it to his friend. This was at school. That's him with his best childhood friend, David. I forgot the name of the other young man, but I know that they're probably still friends as well. But this was at school, and so I snapped a little photo from there, and I found this little cute little photo, one of those photo booth photos, and you could see he had a great big smile right there. But he had a wonderful smile. Oh, he was funny. Daniel used to love to, he was just very, very quick-witted. This is him and his girlfriend. We were on our way to the, there was an event at the I think it was at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and we were on our way there. Sylvester Stallone was there. It was a Tony Robbins event. Yeah, they had a big lineup too. It was an expo, but Tony Robbins was there, and they had Pitbull was there. They had a whole lot of people. This is late at night at the Sunset Market. I mean, because it would be late at night. We'd still be out there cranking out Italian ices. Can't really see them. It's a bad picture probably, but yeah, just taking a moment to. These are some cute little pictures that I found. Him and his girlfriend of 5 years. That was his girlfriend of 5 years. And, oh boy, they were such a cute couple too. I'll just show these to you. But that was them at a formal dinner that we went to. It might have been I think it was a Polish ball. I'm not sure. But here's us, them again, Daniel and Samantha. Really lovely. Lovely, a lovely girl. Very lovely. I guess she loved Daniel a lot. And there they are together as well. The handsome couple that they were. And here's my son having breakfast with his brother. I think this was in Santa Barbara, if I'm not mistaken. But Daniel and his girlfriend, probably not the best picture ever, but I was just happy because I found these pictures and I decided to to put them out here because I want to read this cute little report. This was at a wedding. Oh, it's a beautiful gift basket that I made for that wedding. And here's one of Daniel. Probably the best picture at the market. Let's see if you can see it like that. Yeah. But he did an awesome job all those years with the Italian ice card, all the times that we worked together, and his customer service skills, and he just loved working with food and loved working with the public. So that was one thing that he was excited to get as a side thing, to have his little food truck. He loved cooking in the kitchen. He took after me completely. But these are pictures of him when he was little. He was such a happy baby. But anyway, we sure miss him. Yeah, I got a call from the place they had completed the marker, so I just came back from taking care of that. So we're gonna have a get together at a little coffee house close by where he's laid to rest, and so that's why I was thinking of my son. And then when I saw this report, How Old is the Earth by Daniel Dlugosz, Science Project, March 22nd, 2011. So I thought, in honor of my son, I'm going to read it. Okay. Daniel's journal. And so we begin. First, I read from The Complete Idiot's Guide to Science Fair Projects by Nancy K. O'Leary and Susan Shelley, 2003, over a vanilla frappuccino at Barnes & Noble. That was the night I was trying to talk him out of picking this subject. It said that my topic should be thought-provoking, interesting, something that no one else was going to do, have a wow effect, be pretty cool, and full of surprises. So that's what he wrote. Next, I searched for books that could help. I went to AI Teaching Supplies and Barnes & Noble. And he looked at Earth, Smithsonian, James F. Lure, Adam Wen from FamilyRadio.com, Biblical Calendar of History from FamilyRadio.com, Science 101, Ocean Science by Jennifer Hoffman, published in 2007, A Field Manual for the Amateur Geologist by Alan M. Konkara, published in 1985 by Bijasi Bass, Scientific Creationism by Henry Morris, Green Forest, Christianity and the Age of the Earth by Davis Young, 1988, Microwave Energy by Tim Durrance, University of British Columbia. And I want you to know, I did not help Daniel accumulate any of those references. That was all him. That's but there was a couple that I had at the house, like the Adam Wen and the Biblical Calendar of History. That was it. Everything else was something that he had gone on and researched. Then I went on the internet and researched various sites. Then I went to our own home library and got information from them. I read through stuff and highlighted some things. I typed up some notes and put them under headings. Then I decided on an experiment. I wondered how I could age something. I used our dehydrator. So, I've always dehydrated, and I'm a big advocate for food preservation. So I've canned things and I've dehydrated a lot of vegetables and things like that. So he thought about the dehydrator. So, problem. I chose this topic to see whether the Earth is really billions of years old or only thousands. Dating methods are based on 3 improvable assumptions. Number 1, the rate of decay has been constant throughout time. Number 2, isotope in specimens dated has not been altered throughout its history. Number 3, when rocks are formed, scientists know their exact amounts of material. Angelfire.com. Okay, so I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I'm having it for the first time today. Research. Carbon is a chemical element along with hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. All carbon atoms have a nucleus containing 6 protons. 99% of them also contain 6 neutrons. 6 protons plus 6 neutrons are said to have a mass of 12, which is why it is called carbon-12. I never knew that. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you, I have not even read this until now. I helped Daniel with, I had a couple of books there at home, but and I also helped with the, is they had to have a board, like a folding board that they had to put all this on there. So I took him to Office Depot to get one of those. I remember that, but I have not even read this. Excuse me. 1% has 7 or 8 neutrons. They have masses of 13 or 14. That is why they are called carbon-13 and carbon-14. nosams.hui.edu/about/carbon. Most dating methods are based on the rate of radioactive isotope decay. Radiocarbon dating is a method that uses carbon-14 isotopes to figure out the age of materials. One of the areas it is used is on stuff archaeologists dig up. Radiocarbon dating was developed by Willard Libby at the University of Chicago in 1949. At first, the amount of C14 was halved over 5,568 plus or minus 30 years, and then it was changed to 5,730 plus or minus 40 years. Measurements are made by counting the decay of carbon atoms by gas or liquid counting. Radiocarbon ages are reported in years, quote, before present, or BP. Radiocarbon dating labs report an uncertainty for each date, only statistical counting. Some labs include an error multiplier that can be multiplied by the uncertainty to account for other sources of error in the measuring process. There are large amounts of carbon-14 in the ocean, rocks, and organic matter. Cosmic rays from the sun bombard our planet and collide with atoms in the atmosphere, which result in the release of neutrons. Carbon-14, okay, now I can see, because this is like really technical stuff. And I want to tell you, I never helped Daniel with any of this. I never helped Daniel. I know for sure his dad did not. So carbon-14 bonds chemically with oxygen so that all things living breathe it in. Paleoanthropologists and archaeologists must be aware of radiocarbon contamination that could result in wrong dates. If a sample is exposed to smoke from cigarettes, carbon compounds in exhaust gases from factories or cars, the dates can be too old. http://anthro.palomar.edu/time. Maurice Ewing, 1906 to 1974, was an American geophysicist and oceanographer. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble this morning with my words. He published over 340 scientific papers. He led over 50 oceanic expeditions and did lots of work on plate tectonics. He won numerous awards and honors. He says in, quote, New Discoveries on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, unquote, page 612 to 613, quote, in more than 3,000 places over vast areas of the Atlantic, we have now measured with sound echoes the depth of the sediment on top of the bedrock of the ocean floor. These measurements clearly indicate thousands of feet of sediments on the foothills of the ridge. Surprisingly, however, we have found that in the great flat basins on each side of the ridge, this sediment appears to be less than 100 feet thick, a fact so startling that it needs further checking, unquote. A lot of the Pacific floor is covered by sediments fewer than 100 meters in depth. If the oceans are hundreds of millions of years old, sediments averaging 2,000 feet or more should be found all over the ocean floor. Instead, sediments are normally found to be far less than this, and in many cases, the ocean floor is almost bare of sediment. No theory outside of that of a very young ocean has thus far been set forth. And that's from Adam Wen. Is that accurate, Lord? Okay. I'm being told yes. Okay. All right. Also, seawater is undersaturated with silica. Elements... Oh, I just got a note from one of Daniel's friends. Elements in ocean water are too insufficient compared with quantities that should be present if the Earth was millions of years old. Seawater is not saturated with chemical elements. This suggests a very young ocean. And that is from Adam Wen. Okay, one of the books I had at home in my bookshelf library. Other dating methods. Another type of dating method is potassium-argon dating, which is used on volcanic rock and ash. It has a large plus or minus fudge factor of 0.25 million for a 2 million year old date. All of the argon-40 found in the volcanic rock sample is assumed to date from that time. Volcanic eruptions eject large amounts of carbon in the air. Electron spin resonance dating, or ESR, dates calcium in limestone, coral, fossil teeth, mollusks, and eggshells. And that's from anthro.polymar.edu/time. Dendrochronology dating, which can only date tree rings. And accelerated nuclear decay is another theory that is opposite to radiocarbon dating theory. It was developed by rate, radioisotopes, and the age of the Earth. It says that the diffusion rates in zircons are measured and match the creation model. In order for zircons to retain observed amounts of helium for 1.5 billion years, they would have to have been at liquid nitrogen temperature of minus 196 Celsius below zero for all that time. Oh my goodness. And this was from http://creation wiki.org, which is really far-fetched. Hypothesis. The problem with carbon-14 and other dating methods. Carbon dating is based on the assumption that the C14 amounts in the atmosphere have always been the same. But there is more carbon in the atmosphere now than there was 4,000 years ago. We have cars, machinery, and equipment spewing stuff out into the air all the time. Radiation levels would have to be so high in order to affect decay rates that the planet would be sterilized. The ratio of C12 and C14 in the atmosphere has not been constant. It was higher before the industrial era, when the massive burning of fossil fuels released a lot of carbon dioxide that was depleted in C14. This would make things which died at that time appear older. The atomic bombs testing in the 50s would cause things to appear younger than their true age. That was from christiananswers.net. The amount of cosmic rays reaching the Earth varies. It all depends on what the sun is doing and supernova activity. A stronger magnetic field takes more cosmic rays away from the Earth. So more C14 is produced now than in the past, which makes things look older than they really are. That's interesting. I never thought about that. When Adam was created out of the dust of the ground, he was made as a man with an older appearance and not as a baby. Not as a baby. God probably created the world with an older appearance, and people just think it's older than it really is. That's a good point. Procedure, experiment. I remember when Daniel asked me that day how to use this dehydrator that I have. I was showing him how to plug it in, and I remember him taking out, because I did go to the store and buy meat for him, right? We had a meat slicer. He sliced it all up and threw the slabs onto the, to the dehydrator. He said it was for his project. So, number one, I am going to use beef jerky as an example to show how something that is freshly killed and should usually take weeks to age can only take a few hours. Number two, I will slice the beef into 1/4-inch slices. Number three, I will then place the slices on racks in a dehydrating machine and set it to 160 degrees. Number four, the air moving over the food will remove the moisture. The fan forces heated air down the outer pressurized chamber and horizontally across each tray, converging on the core to ensure even drying of food. Number five, in 4 hours' time, the beef will have the appearance of being extremely aged and void of any moisture. Oh dear. He did a good job on this report. Examples of errors. Living penguins have been carbon dated, and the results said they died 8,000 years ago. And that's from Science, Volume 141, 1963, pages 634 to 637. The shells of living mollusks have been dated using the carbon-14 method. The results came back that they had been dead for 23,000 years. It's from Science, Volume 141, 1963, pages 634 to 637. A seal that had been dead for 30 years, and results came back saying that it had died 4,600 years ago. He's finding all these mistakes. The Illustrated Origins Answer Book by Paul Taylor. A freshly killed seal was carbon dated, and the results came back that it had died 1,300 years ago. That was from Antarctic Journal, volume, September to October 1971, page 211. Shells from living snails were carbon-14 dated, and the results were that the snails died 27,000 years ago. These are huge differences. This is amazing. So these snails were living, but the results said that they had died 27,000 years ago. Science, Volume 224, 1984, pages 58 to 61. Potassium argon method was used to date volcanic material from 2 Hawaiian lava flows that happened in 1800 and 1801. The results came back with dates of 164 million and 3 billion years old. That was from Dry Bones and Other Fossils by Dr. Gary Parker. New Zealand lava flows from Mount Ngauruhoe were known to be 50 years old, were dated, and the results came back that they were millions of years old. That was Andrew Snelling, Creation ex Nihilo, 22, 18 to 21, December 1999, February 2000. The new lava dome from Mount St. Helens was formed in 1986. In 1997, 5 specimens were taken at 5 different locations and dated using the potassium argon method. The results indicated that they were almost 3 million years old. The rocks were known to be only 11 years old. Okay, I remember Mount St. Helens, that the volcanic eruption that happened there in 1986. I remember that. But only 11 years old, and they were saying almost 3 million years old. Interesting. Conclusion. Some findings like these ones are probably pretty embarrassing for some evolutionary scientists. God's fingerprints are all over creation. The Bible is accurate and our only source book of truth. If scientists would do as much research using the Bible, it would make their jobs a lot easier. Evidence shows that the earth has undergone violent catastrophes. The flood of Noah's day would have buried huge amounts of carbon, which became coal, oil, lowering the C12 amounts in the atmosphere and biosphere. That's ChristianAnswers.net. Also, in the days of Peleg, the earth was divided. The one big continent was divided into 7. Mountain building resulted from this huge event. The earth has been in a constant state of decay. Archaeological evidence shows that the locations of the first civilization after the flood was in the Mesopotamia Valley, which agrees with the Bible. Genesis 10:10. 1. Evidence shows that around 3700 to 3500 BC, the first great civilization began in the plains of Sumer in the land of Babylon, Erech, That's biblical calendar of history. I therefore pretty much conclude and agree with biblical findings that the earth is 13,023 years old, from 11,013 plus 2011 equals 13,024 years minus 1 because there is no year 0. He got some of that from my little footnotes right there. I know that. Okay, but I still have a lot of checking and double checking and reading and studying to be any more sure of this. That was my son's book report. I tell you what, that was the first time I've read that. I did not read it back then. And I didn't help him with this book report. So when was this? He was about this age. That was about the age. I had this with the book report. He must have been about the same age. This is in 2010. 2010. So 10 years from that, 2020, so, 16 years. That's a long time ago. My son was 29 when he passed away. So, but he loved to read. He found this very, very interesting, and it had that wow effect. That his friends, I remember that day picking them up in my red Dodge Caravan. They were all excited. Mrs. D, Daniel's report was the best. They were all excited because he took the dehydrator. He took all that beef jerky. All the kids got to eat beef jerky. I remember that. But the day that those grades came out, he got the lowest grade in the class. He got a D plus, 13 points. And I think they probably thought I helped him with it, but I never helped him with this book report. I gave him the tool. I gave him a couple of books that I had on my bookshelf. But he got his own material, and I gave him the dehydrator and showed him how to use it, showed him how to use the meat slicer, but he was on his own. And I took him to Office Depot to pick up one of those boards, but he was on his own as far as everything else goes. But Daniel was always very mature. He was a mature thinker for sure. He was just that way. He was mature in his thinking, but I sure miss him. I miss my son. Anyway, I hope you don't mind. I took the time to put him out there. It was on my mind a lot today. I pray that everybody have a blessed day. I will be back very soon. We're in 37 minutes. I'll come right back, and as soon as I get my desk cleared off here, and we will begin with where we left off in the book of Enoch. Okay. Peace out, everybody. God bless. Bye.